Welcome back to We Need to Talk. Today, we get really spicy. We discuss whether something that is bad in character, in nature, can be high quality. Interested? Well, hey, guess what? We need to talk. One hot take I'm gonna make here, and this is like a general one, but you can have something with a great message and it be utter garbage. Like, you can have something that has like the best intentions, it gives a great, messaging, moral story, and it can just be incompetently made or executed horribly, whatever. And the opposite's true as well. You can have something that has a terrible message or comes from terrible people, but it's super high quality and it's just expertly made. And I'll give two examples here. One I haven't actually seen personally, but so there's a song that was on the radio. It was pretty popular. I don't know what it was. I didn't pay attention that much. But
do you know the name of it?
No. This
you know the artist?
You're definitely talking about Blurred Lines.
I don't know. But the song was something about how it was about like homosexuality and kind of like getting accepted and everything. So it had a really good message, right? But to me, the music was this.
Same Love by Macklemore?
I don't know.
He's not going to know.
I'm not going to know.
It's Nathan.
I wouldn't listen to the song personally. It was in the coffee shop playing all the time. But anyway, so I said this.
It sounds like Same Love. I would assume. What other songs what other mainstream song that would play in coffee shops is like about like gay people that are cool, you know?
But anyway, so I was kind of like dissing the song. I didn't really know the lyrics. And then the person I was talking to, well, the song has a really good message though. I'm like, yeah, but it still sucks. Like it's got a good message, but I don't feel like the artist really put enough effort into the music part of it. Like the lyrics seem kind of like trite. I don't know. It just didn't like strike me the right way. Now,
if it is Same Love, I actually agree with you, because whereas I do enjoy the message and I do support that message, that we shouldn't be discriminating against people just because they're gay. But he does begin that song talking about, when I was a kid, I really thought that I was gay because I could draw real good. And then my mom's like, no, son, you like pussy. And I was like, yeah, that's right, I do like pussy. Now here's the rest of the song where I say that being gay is cool, though. Literally the beginning of the song. If you look up the Same Love lyrics, he literally was like, I thought I was gay because I could draw well. And then my mom was like, no, you're definitely straight. And I'm like, yeah, I'm straight. Time to celebrate the gays, everybody.
Yeah, I don't understand what's wrong with that.
I don't know. It's just such a weird little anecdote to,
but I think what he's saying is like that whole idea is like a childish idea in and of itself. That like when we were kids, it was like the age we were growing up in and the mindset that you're in as a child that, if I like this one thing, that means everything about me is a certain way. And that's not true, that we are very diverse as human beings in general and in populace. So I think I personally like that thought that like he thought he was gay because of one small thing. And like, that's not, you can't pigeonhole all gay people because all gay people like painting their nails. I liked painting my nails, so I must be gay. I think that's actually that's like, let's get out of that mindset and get into the mindset of that's like the transition period.
I just and I get what you're saying, and I totally agree with the sentiment that just because you like having your nails painted, or maybe you like wearing dresses, doesn't mean you don't have to
railed in the ass by a dude doesn't make you
yes yeah, dude, that's there are videos online that prove straight guy gets railed, he's straight, the video said it, I'm straight for watching this, there's nothing wrong with me watching this. But it is just, there's just this kind of wonderful irony to the fact that he begins his like whole gays are okay song by reassuring everybody, I'm not gay. Yo, right up top, not gay, me, straight dude, time to sing about the gays, like it is. And
it is
and
weird
I don't
that
know,
the first line is I ain't a gay butt.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping? It's the Lonely Island movie. One of my, honestly, swear to God, one of my top favorite comedies of all time. I don't know if you like Lonely Island type music. Yeah, Nathan, you know Lonely Island, right? Dick in a Box.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They had that pirate song with Michael Bolton that I watched last night 2 times.
Yeah, this is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow. And actually, he's in the movie. He actually comes back for a song. That's an amazing song. But there's a song in the movie where they actually spoof the song "Same Love" by Macklemore, where literally Andy Samberg's like, when I was a kid, they said being gay was bad. I'm not gay, but you shouldn't hate people just because they're gay. I'm not gay, and and then it's just him just kind of rapping, and it just keeps going back to him just saying not gay in between everything he says. It's pretty funny, and I think Pink's on the song. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Right. So going back to the original point, as Meter was saying, there might be good messaging there, and maybe there's certain things that will resonate more with other people and not with others, because that whole aspect seemed to kind of resonate with Meter, but not with you, Justin. So I think that's the case, but I also think there's some sort of, I don't want to be super pretentious here, but there's a little bit of an objectivity when it comes to assessing music and kind of the quality of things. To me, the song, I'm not know if it's the song you guys are talking about, but it was just kind of bad. Another song that
bad in what way? In what way would you say?
Just super generic, and just kind of it's kind of to me, even if it had a good message, it was relying on that message to carry it, and it wasn't actually relying on its own kind of musicality. It was just kind of low effort. And another example of that is there's that song by Little Dicky, "We Are the World" or something like that. Or no, "We Are the World" is the one that it was kind of taking influence, which was
Earth, right? Earth,
is that what it? Yeah, but it's trying to raise money and raise awareness for planet Earth and kind of destroying villages. I don't know what exactly, but
and it had 1 million celebrities in it.
And it had 1 million celebrities, and the animation, they put a lot of money into animation. The animation was really good. I didn't enjoy the plot of it or whatever, or what they're doing, but there was a lot of effort in the animation. But I just felt this song they wrote in half a day, and they're oh, this is good enough. We're gonna rely on the message here, and we're not gonna have any good quality in this. It just, I don't know, it seemed like trash quality to me.
I mean, I like Little Dicky. I don't like all of his songs. That is not one of the songs I'm into of his. I do agree that it was more of a charity single, and I think that's fine. Because the whole thing was we got to take care of the earth. This is our home. We need to acknowledge global warming as a thing that exists. I don't take any issue with it, but yeah, it's not something that I'm listening to for fun. There's a couple songs, especially I'm waiting for him. I don't know if you saw the first season of his TV show, Dave, but I'm still waiting for all of the songs from the first season to actually make their way to Spotify, because he had enough songs to make a pretty dope album, and he never released any of them, but there's some amazing songs in there.
And I want to take up the opposite point I made with, you can have people who are terrible, or you can have movies with bad messaging, or even songs with bad messaging, but are actually really well made and really good. So Mel Gibson, you gave that example. Mel Gibson has done, I haven't seen most of his movies, but I know that a lot of people really love his movies, especially the ones from the past. Was he Braveheart? Is that right?
Braveheart, that's one of his movies.
So a lot of people these are classic movies that people will kind of hold up. And you can kind of go to other stuff there's that guy who wrote Ender's Game, and I don't know much about that book or anything, but people love it. People who even kind of hate the author of it still say the book's really good. And then,
I don't think the issue was with Ender's Game. I think it's the sequel. The sequel has some, I don't know exactly what, but I remember reading about it. The sequel has some really messed up stuff in it. I think the original book Ender's Game is pretty good, but I think it's either homophobic or transphobic or something like that. That or sexist. I don't know exactly that the second book gets into. But yeah.
And just one more point, and I don't know this firsthand, but I was listening to some film podcast. I don't know why, but this is a couple years back, and they're talking about this is a cinematography kind of nerd, and he said that he was going through some Nazi made movies, Nazi propaganda pieces, and he's just kind of looking at it, and it's like these are some of like the greatest like German like filmmakers. Messaging terrible, right? But the work and like the framing and all the cinematography they did was just like top tier. The acting was great, and he's like, these are like masterpieces, but they're like awful, like the awful shit.
Yeah, I mean, like Triumph of the Will, right? Like Triumph of the Will was for its time. It is Nazi propaganda. It is Nazis are dope. Check out the Nazis. Well, look at us march. We rule. And it's really fucked up. But it's also for its time was just one of the most impressive pieces of cinematography, and just kind of like, and so much though that like you can actually draw direct comparisons from that movie to like the end of the original Star Wars, like A New Hope, like the win at the end when all the rebels are marching and they're having like the big grand celebration, like we destroyed the Death Star, like literally, like that actually cribs some of Triumph of the Will. Horrible people can make great art. I'm not, obviously I'm not like a big fan of Kevin Spacey, but I still consider American Beauty an amazing movie, and he still was in a lot of fantastic productions. Not House of Cards, that show was a piece of shit, but that show just really was a lost opportunity. But it is like, for example, some people despise Michael Jackson. Some people, based on what he was accused of, could not listen to his music. I, on the other hand, I still listen to Billie Jean. You will take Billie Jean from me. You will pry it from my cold dead hands. Like I love that song. I love a lot of his music.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm able to separate a lot of times the ethicality of certain things, is kind of see it as like I don't know, like you're giving examples of BoJack Horseman, which I've never seen that show, but there's other similar shows where characters maybe they do a lot of bad things, but for me it's not really about liking the character or disliking. It's more about understanding them and kind of just seeing as a thing, and kind of see that with things just more generally. Now, I'm not going to speak for you, Meter, but I'm going to make a prediction here. I think you probably have a hard time separating those two, and only based off the fact that has a conversation about hot girls. Like if a hot girl has a bad personality, she's not a hot girl. So tell me if I'm wrong in that.
That I can't enjoy a bad character, like an evil character?
Not that you can't enjoy an evil character, but that it's hard for you to separate the, say, ethicality of something with, like, if something has a bad message, that kind of taints it into a bad overall.
Yeah, for sure. It can have good things about it, but overall it's bad.
Yeah, that's my best guess there. Is there like is that just like intuitive sort of thing, or is that something you've thought out?
There is a 0% chance I would ever say that something that's Nazi propaganda is good. Like it has great cinematography, but is it good? Yeah. There is no way I could ever say yes to that. That's fun.
It's not like a movie. It's like, oh, you guys want to watch something? Oh, how about Triumph of the Will from the 40s, German production? Just you can watch Schindler's List first. It's way better, man.
No, you're right in that regard. I don't feel like that's really. And maybe it's because we took it to 11 with Nazis, but like, I don't feel like that's necessarily something that is uncommon.
Right. Well, I think there's a bit of a distancing with that as well, because like you don't really want to be associated with that sort of thing, and also you don't really have much interest for that sort of thing, right? If it's
for
something,
Nazis?
Right? Well, I'm talking more generally. Like we're getting way too. I made a specific example. Let's get more general here with this like bad stuff, like say Mel Gibson.
It's weird. You don't like Nazis or something? I don't know.
So
okay, Mel Gibson, yeah.
So okay. So Mel Gibson, like maybe he did some things that are bad, or let's say Louis C.K. Some people debate that, but let's say Louis C.K. did some things that were bad. Some people,
hypothetically, Louis C.K. did some things that were bad. Yeah, just let's pretend.
So some people will watch, like Justin here, like they will take part in their new say, endeavors because they really enjoy the person, or the quality of the work is greater than the immorality that happened, and maybe they've done enough to kind of like obfuscate from that. But some people, like, it's just kind of like done after that. Like anything this person does after is tainted by this previous thing, and they can't enjoy it. And I'm kind of getting the sense you're more on that, like, it's tainted sort of side.
No, I mean, not necessarily, because I subscribe to Death of the Artist. So it's like, once, you know, J.K. Rowling said is an awful for her transphobic bullshit, but Harry Potter is amazing. Like, I don't think I can separate those two things cleanly to say. Now, the sketchy part gets in when you're talking about actually supporting the artist by doing things that are going to put money into the pocket of somebody who's shitty. That's when it starts to get sketchy. But as if I already own the movie and J.K. Rowling comes out and says something transphobic, I still like the fucking movie. It's still an amazing movie with an amazing message, and it doesn't. That's not going to completely taint it. Now, if she came out and was a Nazi, we'd have to talk.
Yeah, I'm kind of that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, for example, part of why I'll defend, you know, my listening to Michael Jackson is because dude's dead. You know, dude, you know, he has already wrapped up his time in the simulation. You know, he's already like had the exit interview and explained his actions to the guy with the clipboard running everything, you know, like, for example, you know, R. Kelly is somebody who I purposely went through like my Spotify starred list, and I like it was a sad day when I took Ignition Remix off of my Spotify starred list. And listen, trust me, the moment R. Kelly dies, goddamn, poo, you know, it's going to be like, poo, poo, it's going to be giving me that toot, toot, you know, like, yeah. I am going to fucking add all the R. Kelly songs that I loved back to my Spotify starred list. Same with, you know, Chris Brown. I don't like Chris Brown. I don't think there's maybe like 2 songs of his I super enjoy. But you know, he's another person just based on the things that I've known him to do. I do not want to support him in a way that he is making money off of me financially, even with a Spotify spin, you know, even with the 0.00001 cent he gets off of every time I play one of his songs on Spotify. I don't want to support him even that much, you know, and you know, but it's different for everybody, and I wouldn't get in somebody's face about, you know, oh, you bought the Louis C.K. special. Well, yeah, man, because I wanted to see what it was like, you know. I wanted to see what that special was like. I mean, at this point, you could probably pirate if you're really curious. I bought it because I just didn't want to have to go onto a shady website and, you know, potentially, you know, infect my computer with malware, you know. But I bought it, and I liked maybe, I would say, 2/3 of it. I do think, though, when he actually, in this special, he actually like tackles his Me Too stuff, and he does it in the worst way possible, where he shows no remorse. He doesn't really kind of show any kind of forgiveness, or he doesn't give any sort of apology. What he does is just goes, I guess Obama knows my thing now, womp womp, and just kind of moves on. And I was like, man, he really handled that poorly. He really did not do a good job. He had, you know, versus, like, I don't know if you saw Aziz Ansari's stand-up special from a couple years ago. I think it was like in 2019. It was called Right Now, and it was his first special after, you know, his Me Too thing, which I think is a much lower level than Louis, and I think it's something that he shouldn't be, like, you know, cast away forever for. But he, even with way less of like a quote unquote crime, right? If you see the way that he handled it, he like talks about it. He doesn't make it into a womp womp type of punchline. He just addresses it, you know, and he says, listen, I just want to, you know, there's an elephant in the room. I just want to address it. And so we can move on. You know, I really wish, you know, I hadn't done this, you know, at the end of the day, it just really upsets me to know that, like, I hurt this person, and I was shitty, and I'm extremely sorry for that. And I hope that, if she's watching or whoever's watching, I hope that how much, I regret my actions that night, et cetera, et cetera. And really does a good job of like owning it. He owns the behavior. He doesn't make excuses for his behavior. He doesn't write it off as, well, that's just my kink, blah, like he really takes, full credit for the bad shit he did and apologizes and, and then moves on. Whereas Louis C.K. is just like, yeah, I have a specific kink and now Obama knows about it, I guess.
Right.
It's really bad. It's really disappointing. As somebody who was like rooting for him to like hopefully come back and like bounce back and like, because he was like for a few years Louis really was like a super woke dude and had some, like especially like I don't know if you ever heard Louis' bit about it's kind of ironic now when you think about it, but he had this whole bit about like historically nobody has been more dangerous to women than men. Historically, men are the worst thing that's ever happened to women. And like and he had this other bit where he says like if somebody calls you an asshole, you don't get to be like, no, I'm not an asshole. If somebody thinks you're an asshole, that's something that you need to like think about and acknowledge, and you need to like wrestle with that about yourself, because you made somebody think you're an asshole, and it was kind of funny that he couldn't even apply his own good advice to himself, at least that's how it kind of came across to me.
Right. Where I kind of struggle is actually another comedian, Bill Cosby. I mean, that one's pretty obvious, but
yeah, the guy who's in jail for his crimes.
What he did, like, I can still find Louis C.K. very enjoyable without all of his previous jokes, all of his previous work. There is some recontextualization, but even more so with Bill Cosby because like he had a lot of jokes in his TV show, but also in his specials that were kind of shady like that. I mean, a lot of it was just family friendly, but then you start seeing this and it kind of recontextualizes everything he's saying. It's not just like he's a good guy joking about some pervy things every once in a while. It's just kind of like, this guy's a freak. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, literally, yeah. I mean, with Bill Cosby, I think it's pretty easy. Some of these, like, I've heard people argue on both sides of Louis C.K., right? That, well, what he did was bad, but it wasn't like, Harvey Weinstein bad. It wasn't like blah, blah, blah bad. It wasn't like R. Kelly bad. And, I think you could definitely make that argument. With like Bill Cosby, it's pretty open and shut. I mean, he was accused by way too many women for it to be like out of nowhere, like when you have like 30 to 40 women that are like, he did this shit to me. And then you have like audio of him and video of him from like the 60s and 70s, either on his album. We have audio on his album talking about Spanish Fly, and then an interview he did, I think in like the 70s, I think with like Johnny Carson or somebody, where he's like, yeah, Spanish Fly, baby, you just put it in the drinks, they go out like a light, whap, whap, whap. It's the 70s, women aren't people, like it's I mean, in my opinion, it's pretty open and shut there. He's a horrible person. Really, I would never, even when he dies, I'm not gonna like, go back and listen to any old Bill Cosby albums. I don't think I'd even go back and like watch any. Well, maybe I'd go back and watch The Cosby Show because there was at least with that, there was like a whole bunch of people who worked on that, and that was like a very important show for like, just kind of Black history and, like it in its time, it was extremely important for like the way that it portrayed Black people in America, and I think like that, that's kind of how I feel about Michael Jackson's music as well. It's like, yeah, before this guy, like a Black dude couldn't be the king of pop, and I'd hate for that legacy, to just go by the wayside, and that to just end, or that, that to die off just because this person might have done, this horrible thing, which, I mean, it would be different if he got like convicted for it, but he was never actually convicted, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about Michael Jackson. Also, that documentary got fact checked to hell. So,
Nate, you talked about art that has a good message but is poorly crafted, and the reverse, well crafted but a shitty message. What about stuff that is like is well crafted and has a good message, but is just poorly executed on. My biggest example would be the song Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. If you've ever heard Leonard Cohen's version, holy shit, that's one of the worst recordings I've ever fucking listened to. But then you listen to literally anybody else in history do it, and every single time somebody covers that song, it's a number one. Every single fucking time. It's been number one like 10 plus times by 10 different people. Well, amazing work, just really shittily done by the original artist.
So is the differentiation there like the source material was good, but the executions is poor, kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender movie? Like the source material was good, but then they just butchered it in the execution.
Like somebody having an artistic out-of-body experience where they're able to produce something that is way above their own level. Like, I made something so amazing, even I can't perform it. And then literally everybody else in history can do a better job than you. And everyone's like, this is an amazing piece of work. You just fucking sucked at performing it.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, a lot of Bob Dylan songs were like that. Like Bob Dylan's come up with so many great songs. I think All Along the Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix covered that, and he did it far better than Bob Dylan. And then Knocking at Heaven's Door, there's a bunch of people who covered that, and they did it way better. So I think that's the thing for certain.
Knocking on Heaven's Door, was that not? That was Bob Dylan? I thought that was.
You know, it's funny that you brought up Leonard Cohen. I just Googled it because I was like, I thought Jeff Buckley did that. I thought Jeff Buckley did. I thought it was like, oh no, it was a Leonard Cohen cover. I just thought that Jeff Buckley's version was just so great that I thought that was the original version.
Yeah, or Andrew Wainwright or Pentatonics did it recently, and they fucking demolished it. Like,
or who did it for the Shrek soundtrack.
I think it was Wainwright, but it might have been the Buckley version.
Because I remember it being on the Shrek soundtrack and being like, "This." And
now that's what it is, right? It's like people are like, you know, that song from Shrek, which sucks for Leonard Cohen because, like, even though Shrek outshadowed everything that every person that was ever on it, every song
in history,
everything, Shrek became the source point for all those things.
It became, and also it's really affected like kind of the whole fetish online community. Just really I've seen Shrek. You've never seen Shrek porn, Nathan?
Actually, I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
is it good? Would you recommend?
No, it's horrifying.
It was Rufus Wainwright. His version.
Rufus Wainwright. Yeah.
My bad. John Cale's version appeared in the film. Oh, that's weird. They put Rufus Wainwright on the soundtrack album, but John Cale was the one who did it in the film.
I hate that. Or there's like a version like
Wainwright was an artist for DreamWorks and Cale was not.
Interesting.
So Cale's could not be on the soundtrack.
That's
fascinating.
I hate that. I hate that kind of shit. Just like I forget the name of the Arcade Fire song. It's one of their earliest songs, and there's like an acoustic version they did for the trailer for Where the Wild Things Are, but the album version is on the soundtrack, and the acoustic version just doesn't exist. It's only you have to literally watch that trailer to hear it. It just annoys me. It's like, just put it on Spotify, man.
And like I would put, and this may be a hot take that people disagree with, I would put Sound of Silence in that, where I don't like the Garfunkel fucking version. I don't like it at all. But the Disturbed version is amazing. And like if you Google Sound of Silence, it comes up with the Disturbed version. Like that's what people want to hear because that's the better version in my opinion. And apparently in at least a couple other people's opinions.
Hot take here. The Disturbed version is very good, very well executed, but it's overproduced. And it kind of sounds, I don't know, fake, which I don't like because that's kind of the opposite messaging of the song. The song is about, like, I don't know, kind of going back to nature a little bit.
I don't think it's very controversial to say that Garfunkel on his own wasn't like a very good artist, you know? I mean, he definitely needed Paul Simon. He didn't realize that he needed Paul Simon.
It was technically Simon and Garfunkel, but
oh, that's true. But I'm just saying, just anytime you're like, well, I don't think Garfunkel's version was that good. It's like, yeah, well, Garfunkel sucks. He needed Paul Simon. He needed Paul Simon to be relevant.
I would say like the original better, to be honest. I think it's got more charm to it, and the vocal harmonies I just really like. But you know, I'm not gonna say that the Disturbed singer is not far more. He's a much better singer. You know, like there's no question about that. He has much more talent.
I feel like the tone even is better in the Disturbed version. Like the tone in the Simon and Garfunkel version isn't right for the song. I feel like some people get a person's art like better than they themselves get and like they're able to express it in a way that supersedes like the artist's original point.
I think there's some impetus for that. I remember listening to like a interview with he's like a music producer, and there was some song that some lady was singing, and like she had come up with it, and he was listening to her sing it, and it's just like, this doesn't sound good, but what is it? Oh, she thinks she's singing over these chords, but it's actually these chords. So let me actually change the chords here. Oh, now this sounds perfect. And that's went #1 hit for like, I don't know, a good while.
Oh, like that House episode.
But sometimes people, they have this like idea of what they're playing to or what the background is or what it is, but really the chords they're playing to is actually wrong, and they're playing to the chords that are in the head, not that ones they're actually using. So sometimes it just takes someone to actually like kind of see it and realize what they're trying to do and actually execute on that thing.
That's always super interesting to me.
Now, this might be a controversial take, but I think The Only Living Boy in New York is a way better song than either version of Sound of Silence.
That I wouldn't know. I think
you never heard The Only Living Boy in New York by Simon
I
Garfunkel?
have once, and it was covered by Matthew Drew. And that is the only context I have for that song.
I would argue that Matthew Drew's version is better than either of those versions.
An awesome song.
Sound of Silence.
Does it.
Yeah, but you should. You've never seen the movie Garden State because it plays in the movie Garden State.
Where can they listen to that version from Matthew Drew? Is it on SoundCloud?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's the O Moses, the official O Moses SoundCloud.
Yeah. Is it on that one? SoundCloud.
I think it should be.
But
I think it's on Matt's, which is under Matthew Drew Music.
Matthew Drew Music. So check it out there. Matthew's great. But I haven't heard that version. Now that is one thing where there's certain songs which are kind of like, say, ranked high tier, but then often the actual fan base of that artist will often kind of denigrate them. So like, for instance, people will talk about Pink Floyd, and, you know, casual fans will be like, oh yeah, I love, say some song like Money, right? I love the song Money. And then people were like more real fans, they'd be like, no, Dogs is the best. Or like, there's certain it's a little bit of gatekeeping there. Or say with the Beatles, like there's certain very popular Beatles songs that people talk about, but then like people who are like hardcore Beatles fans will often kind of denigrate the songs that people will claim as being super great.
Poppy Beatles is garbage.
What? I don't think we have enough time in this episode to discuss that meter. Yeah, we need to talk in part 2 of 3 or 4 of this episode.